All right. Hey, everybody. We'll give another minute here just for some more folks to file in, but thank you for joining us so far. And we encourage you to drop in the chat. Let us know where you're joining us from geographically. Let us know how you're doing today.
I already see some familiar names. Welcome, everybody.
All right, cool. Well, we'll kick things off. We got a short session today. We want to get right to the point. So we're all about saving time, as you can see. Hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining us today on this webinar. My name is Ian Davis. I'm the marketing manager here at Sessionboard. And the goal today for our webinar is to show how event organizers can save hundreds, if not thousands of hours on their next event. That's time that can be better spent on other parts of your event or, for that matter, your life. It's your time and you should get it back. So without further ado, I will pass the mic over to one of our hosts today, Sessionboard's own Andrew Asaro.
Hey folks, thanks everybody for joining. My name's Andrew Asaro. I'm coming from New Orleans, Louisiana. I've been working in the event industry directly with event organizers in event tech for a little over 10 years. And I'm really excited today to be joined by Brianna Elenes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Brianna. I'm coming out of the DC area. I manage event technology product partnerships here at Freeman, and I'm very happy to be here with our friends at Sessionboard today.
Awesome. Well, let's jump right in. So let's talk a little bit about the challenge that event organizers are facing whenever it comes to putting together their programs and their events. So a lot of clients are currently managing their speakers in spreadsheets, long email chains, siloed software, clunky old legacy systems. So we're trying to modernize the workflow to give you that experience that you're used to as an event organizer. And one of the main things that we're going to talk about today is the time consumed. So how much time you're spending in all of these email chains, communications, and building out of your program. Today, I'm going to mostly be talking from the event organizer standpoint, and Brianna is going to touch on a lot of the speaker standpoint. So as we go through, and please feel free to drop questions in the chat as we go through this. We do have this slotted for 30 minutes, but we will stay as long as we need to answer any questions you may have. So let's talk a little bit about what makes up, and we've done some studies to find that there's about 3 to 5 organizer hours spent per speaker during their speaker management process. Now, I know not all of the people that join us today do a call for paper and evaluation process, but just bear with us just for a moment because we're going to get to the rest of this stuff where we're doing the onboarding of the speakers. But with call for papers, so in the past, a lot of clients have done this through Google Forms or just on their website, trying to figure out how do they distribute everything to get this to the best submitters possible. They've also had issues with evaluations, so creating an evaluation plan, assigning those external reviewers to go through and grade out the submissions, and then tracking the progress of what those evaluators are doing to make sure that they're getting the scores that they need to build out their agenda, which takes us right into the agenda building. So a lot of the issues in the past have been trying to manage their rooms. They've been having issues setting times, tracks, and also avoiding conflicts, and then sharing that information with the speaker. So, you know, I've worked with organizers in the past that were doing this all with sticky notes on a big board. So we're trying to modernize that here. And then another issue that event organizers have faced has been that communication. So communicating, are you accepted? Are you rejected as a submitter? Do we need, or what documents do we need from our speakers? And then handling the logistics of all of that as well. And then finally, the content management. How do we get all of this to market? How do we get this eventually to show side? So these are what really makes up a lot of that 3 to 5 hours that we've put together.
I just have to say, not all heroes wear capes. The event organizers do a lot of work to put these events together, and just looking at that stresses me out quite a bit. So kudos to everybody that does this for a living. Hopefully, we can share some stuff to make it easier for you. So as far as speakers are concerned, they have a time sink as well. As a speaker, I might be spending quite a bit of time just combing through the event website, trying to figure out what information is pertinent to the topics that the call for papers is looking for, what the guidelines are for the submissions. I could be sending excessive emails back and forth confirming things like the status of my submission. What is the final agenda? What room am I speaking in? Things of that nature. There's a lot of important details that need to be communicated. And all of this happens before I even get to the event to speak, before I even get on stage. So this could leave me really feeling a little frazzled and potentially unprepared before I even get to the event.
So the big question, how do we modernize this process? How do we get all of our speaker information? How do we build out our agenda? How do we communicate with our speakers in a modern way that really event attendees, event organizers, and speakers for that matter are starting to expect from the associations or the corporations that they're working with on the event? And our goal here is to save hundreds, if not thousands, like Ian said, of hours in building out our program. So how are we going to do that? So our time-saving solution. So with call for papers, from the event organizer standpoint, within Sessionboard, you're able to go into one place, set up all of the forms that you need that for your possible speakers to fill out. So any data that you need to collect on the session, abstract, or speakers, you're able to put that all together in one place and easily distribute it throughout all of your channels.
And just to chime in here from a speaker's perspective, the call for papers is really the where my journey starts. And through Sessionboard, I can benefit from a very streamlined, easy to use process where I can submit everything, finding all of that information in one place to submit a good quality abstract to submit a good quality abstract right then and there.
Yeah, absolutely. And then once we get all those submissions in, we need to evaluate, see which ones are going to make it to our event, which ones are going to be sessions, which ones are going to be posters in some cases. So we made it very easy for your evaluators, whether that be external or internal, to go through and evaluate, to grade each submission. And you can do that based off of different criteria. So really making it easy for your evaluators to have a portal where they can go in and grade and leave the feedback that they need to for you to then be able to set up your agenda. So from there, let's talk a little bit about the personalized onboarding portal. So you're going to have different speakers at your events, and you're going to need to collect different assets from them. And that could be different for different types of speakers at the same exact event. So with our onboarding portals, you're able to set up where you can collect everything that you need from each individual speaker.
Yeah, and then from the speaker perspective, this is that personalized portal that I can go in and keep track of those approvals. If there's any, hopefully no rejections, but if I did get my submission rejected or I need to submit something that's revised, I can do that through that portal as well, and really keep track of any of the tasks the organizers need from me, which I know for me is huge because I'm a big task type person. If it's not in a checklist, I'm probably going to forget. And so that's one of my favorite things about the portal.
Yeah, absolutely, Brianna. And then in addition to that, communication. So instead of having different areas where you're sending emails, following all these different chains, you're able to send out communication from the platform directly to your speakers. And that's not just email, but that's also text messaging. So whenever you have those last minute changes, or if you need new assets, or if rooms are changing, you're able to send out all that communication with your speakers, and then also send reminders. Hey, we're still missing your headshot. We need you to book your hotel room, whatever that may be. It's customizable or configurable within the platform to be able to send out that communication.
Big fan of the SMS. Big fan of the SMS. I am one of those multitaskers. I'm on my email a lot, but the text helps, especially if it's important, and a lot of times it's an urgent thing for an organizer. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then one of the things I did want to touch on the communication is you do have the ability to create your custom domain within the platform. So it doesn't have to come from Sessionboard. It can come directly from an email that your clients are used to receiving or your speakers are used to receiving from. The next part on here is the agenda management. So we were talking a little bit about the ability to drag and drop, which we'll show you the interface here in a moment, but it allows you to build out your program. And then also we have the ability to detect conflicts within your agenda. So ensures that your speaker isn't set to be at the same time or or double booking rooms. So really easy way to build out your agenda within the platform. And then from there, we got to get all this information for you to be able to market. So we've said a million times on different webinars that you need to make your speakers your superheroes or your superpower. So having the ability to embed your content within your marketing websites, also being able to integrate. So we have an open API and we do have the ability to integrate with different mobile apps. But in addition to that, and what we're going to focus on today is being able to push it into a presentation management system from Freeman so that it can then be executed on site.
Thanks, Andrew. The integration piece is so important, and it really leads right into one of the main reasons, well, not the main reasons, but one of the many reasons that we chose to work with Sessionboard here at Freeman. So let's talk about that a little bit, because we're both here today. And I want to take the opportunity to share why Freeman chose to partner with Sessionboard to offer this to our customers. For those of you that don't know Freeman, we are a family-owned company. We are a big company, but we very much have a family culture that depends very, very heavily on trust. Sessionboard and the team actually supported Freeman during the pandemic when everything shifted virtual. Albeit it was very much behind the scenes, but they were there for us. And through that experience, we really learned who they were as a company and that they were willing to listen to our unique use case and our customer needs, and really just remain flexible throughout that entire experience. So point number two, being nimble, being flexible. Freeman works with customers in many different industries, but one thing that's shared across the board is that we really needed to have a native integration for session and speaker data that came from an abstract management tool that was made for Freeman. So that's why I call it native. As many of you know, the APIs are great, but if you've done an API, it's not always smooth depending on the two tools that you're connecting together. There could be very different data mapping. So this particular integration was very much mapped and built for Freeman directly. And that was really, really big for us. There are other key features that Sessionboard was able to implement for us based on the conversations that we had. Again, they sat and listened to us. They continued to run things by us. For example, the association management system SSO integration, it's going to be awesome. That's going to make it really easy for people to log right in and use the system. So those are just a couple examples from the technical side. And then lastly, we wanted a partner whose sole focus was on simplifying things for our clients, with a clean, modern UI. That was really big. And we also wanted purposefully to find somebody with a very narrow focus on this area of event technology. There are a lot of all-in-one platforms out there, and those, work for some people, but, as they say, jack of all trades, masters of none. We were of the camp of wanting to have somebody that was a real master in this space. So that's kind of the couple of the main reasons why we chose to work with Sessionboard.
Awesome. Thanks, Brianna. So powerful partnership. So we talked through where in the pre-event where you're able to manage things like your call for papers, your abstract evaluations, your agenda management, onboarding, and then the distribution of all of the information that we collect pre-event. Let's talk a little bit about how we execute this on site and where all this data goes. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, go
That's
ahead.
okay.
Brianna.
I was just going to say before you get into that, these are really powerful tools on their own, but there's a lot of magic when we look at this wheel here. The magic is when they come together. I like to think of it as like a magnet. It's really a natural fit. And Andrew's going to actually quickly take a look at examples of how Sessionboard tackles the first part of this journey, and then I'll get into the on-site aspect with our presentation management system. So go ahead, Andrew.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's the modern workflow, like we were talking about earlier. So Brianna touched on that user interface and the user experience. You're not going to save time if it's not a clean interface and it's easy to use, right? So we wanted to set it up very easy for you. So the first part is that going to be that call for papers and evaluation. So creating an easy submission form so that you can get the data that you need. And then from there, being able to track and manage the evaluation process, making sure that you're getting the correct speakers by being able to set up an evaluation process where you're able to put the right evaluators on the right submissions. And then that organizer dashboard. This is a part where you can have different members of your team really be able to have their own views, right? So that they can see what they need to see, because different members of the team are going to have different needs as they're building out your program. From there, and wanted to show you this because the speaker portal is one that our clients really are really liking. It's where they're able to see, it's a one-stop shop for the speaker. So you're seeing on here, they're able to confirm their session, being able to upload their headshots, put in their bios, maybe click out to their hotel blocks and book their hotels from there. So, and then you're able to track that as the organizer. So you have a list of all of your speakers, which can be filtered down for different members of your team or just for yourself if you need to see different types of speakers and see what tasks they've done, what they haven't done. And then if they haven't done it, or if you just need to get any type of communication out, you do have the ability to send out customized bulk communication. You can do this individual as well, but whenever we're talking about bulk, you do have the ability to put together templates, and really make this very easy for you to send out any communication that you need, as well as automated reminders to your speaker to make sure that they're staying on track.
I don't know what it is about green check marks, but I really like green check marks. It literally makes me smile. I don't know why.
More feedback from Freeman that we did whenever we were building out
Green
the
check
platform.
marks.
And then our agenda builder and content management. So this is really, so especially the agenda builder where you're looking at right now, you're seeing the color coded based off of the tracks. Again, this allows you to drag and drop, really build out your program and get a real overview of what your program is going to look like. You can click into these and make updates to them as well if you need to make any quick changes. Maybe there's a grammatical error. Maybe we need to add a moderator or a chairperson or an additional speaker to it. Very easy to do. And then the room builder as well. So staying on top of the logistics of your event. So making sure that you have the room assignments set, you're not double booked. And again, we talked a little bit about this earlier, but there is conflict detection on here as well. So that user interface is going to be really great for your team as you're building out your program.
Awesome. I love the agenda builder. By the way, that is one of my favorite things. And I think probably one of the first things we started talking about when we started partnering together was how do we make this super easy to use, and they already had that figured out. So I do love a good drag and drop. So getting into just to recap, Sessionboard, they really manage all the pre-event component, that top half of the wheel that we showed there. So from the call for papers through the review process, all the way to where it marries up with the presentation management tool that we talked about. So that's where the synergy really continues on site. So I'm going to talk about what presentation management is. For those of you that know, great. For those of you that don't, I'm hoping that you'll learn something today. So at its core, presentation management is really, it's meant to simplify. It's meant to increase efficiency on site for your speakers, as well as just the overall flow of the event. One of the questions I always like to ask people is how many times have you as a speaker or you as an organizer faced a rush at the event of making a last minute change to a slideshow, having anxiety over, fumbling with laptops or USB drives getting lost just minutes before a session? I'm an old tech. I come from the old tech world. So I was one of the people that sat at a tech table and oftentimes juggled all of those USB drives. So this alleviates a lot of those worries. leading up to the event and specifically once they're on site, speakers are able to very securely and easily upload their final locked in presentation right into the system. And that can be, just right when they get on site, a few days before the event. They can do it all the way up to, just maybe an hour before their event as well, or sorry, before their session as well. So then that brings us to the next part, which is the speaker ready room. The speaker ready room at events that choose to utilize it is really a dedicated functional space that's just for speakers. And this is where they really save a lot of time by not having to make the trek, oftentimes at a convention center, all the way to their session room to maybe do a quick run through, to test things, to make sure that their slides are up to date and accurate, or even just be dealing with, spotty internet downloads from Dropbox or box folders, trying to bring down really large PowerPoint files. So this allows them to get there, to be able to plug in their device and get the presentations uploaded right to the system, rehearse their slides, make last minute adjustments, and it really is there to optimize their success. And the best part is with Freeman anyway, we have our support staff on hand in these rooms, so speakers are never left to fend for themselves. You can see in that picture there, whether it's a technical question or just a general one, we're really there to make sure that they feel prepared and ready to go. As far as where it goes from there, once that content is in there, it's not just a standalone tool. It's really an ecosystem that helps make the presentation process a breeze for speakers. Once they get to their meeting room, that's where the magic really happens. Their content's already ready for them. It's already been automatically and securely distributed to the specific meeting room that it needs to go to. And that's where the presenter can easily select their particular presentation from a really clean launcher. You can see it there on the pictures. It's branded, it's simple to use, and you don't run into those awkward transitions that you've probably seen before, where you unplug one laptop, you plug in another one, the projector menu comes up and it is not super clean. So this eliminates that, and it really adds to a seamless transition between presenters. And they're able to do it really easily themselves right at the lectern. So that's a really big point as well. So that basically kind of sums up what it is. It's really not overly complicated, but it saves a lot of time for speakers on site. And one more thing I wanted to add here too is a lot of times organizers are looking for the final content after an event. And if you collected it before the event, you probably have found that post-event it's changed, because speakers make a lot of changes last minute. So you're always able to get the latest and greatest right out of the system at the conclusion of the event as well.
Yeah, so just to illustrate the full process. So as an event organizer, your life is stressful enough, right? You're having to deal with registration. You need to get the number of attendees in that your boss is hoping that you have at your event, and you're also trying to run a smooth event. Let's give you back some of that time from start to finish, from that call for papers process to building out your agenda, to getting all the assets that you need from your speaker, to taking it to market, to then going on site. Let's make it a little bit easier for you every step of the way between Sessionboard and Freeman.
Yeah, so really in closing, I think I've said this a few times already, they work really well alone. They work even better together. And we're super excited to have this partnership with Sessionboard and hopefully, can continue to bring these joint solutions to the market. I think we had some time for questions. I know we went quick. We tried to stick to our saving time message here.
We're here to save event organizers time, and we're going to do it even with our webinar today.
Right.
So happy to answer any questions. Ian, do you want to talk about the QR code that we have here?
Yeah. It looks like Phil might be typing something. Maybe it's a question. In the meantime, the QR code is you can take this deck, home with you. You can look it over. It'll also have some customer testimonials in there as well. We just didn't feel like putting that in here and bogging down our time here, but it's like a little bit more of a robust deck here. And it also, if you have any questions, you want to follow up and learn more about Sessionboard and Freeman, please reach out to Andrew at sessionboard.com. But yeah, please feel free to scan the QR code and grab the deck so that you can look it over once you're done here. Looks like Phil just said streamline workflow and partnership. Impressive. Yeah, that's what it's all about. It's about efficiency and modernizing your process, especially coming out of COVID. It's a really big deal. You're working, you're doing more probably with less manpower, so or woman power, I should say. So you want to make sure that you have, you're being as efficient as possible, and you're also gaining your time back, and that's sanity too, right? Mental health is very important. That's another focus. So just want to throw that in there. Looks like we don't have any other additional questions. Do appreciate everyone answering the polls we had here. Looks like onboarding and communication and content management seem to be the bigger challenges that folks face. And obviously, our two solutions work well together on the content management front. So it's good to know we're tackling that together.
Absolutely. Well, we really appreciate everyone's time. We will make this available to watch on demand, and look forward to hearing from you. And if you have any questions, not only about the platform, but how you can streamline other areas of your organization process, please let us know. We're excited to meet you and happy to answer any questions. So thank you so much, and we will hopefully hear from you soon.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.